Hello everyone, my name is the SeaTactics, and today it's a manga grab bag. I think we're on our third manga grab bag. The last two have been a resounding success, and as I said at the very beginning of the series, we're only going to do 3 anime. Unless I break my own rule. Or not 3 anime, but 3 manga. Unless I break my own rule. Guess what? We're breaking my own rule again today, because last episode I think we did 4. So this episode we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have one more than last one, and one of them is a full review. Air quotes, full review. It's a full, thought out, bullet point review with a score. Most of these will not have a score because most of these, I've actually decided I'm going to, because some of these I'm going to read intermittently. So I'm probably going to pick some of these up, and then not read them for a bit. So, yeah, so I'm going to talk about some things that I've dropped / put on hold, or just some stuff that I'm maybe only 3 or 4 chapters into. But I still want to talk about because some of these are recommendations. And I don't want to drop them without never talking about them, if that makes sense. And there's one of them I've actually dropped, which we'll talk about later. That is a recommendation. So, the first anime, manga, it's really the same thing, is it not? So the first manga I want to talk about is Sankarea. So I did an anime review for this last year, during the summer, which you all should go check out. I thought it was a very well-received review. I didn't think it was my best review ever, but I enjoyed reviewing the anime. Finally got to the manga. I wouldn't say excited, but I was eager to check it out because I actually own the Blu-ray for Sankarea, a physical copy. And, I wanted to see what the source material was like. I thought, Sankarea, it's a fun anime, for what it's worth. There are problems with that series that are crazy, but for the most part, I could probably handle it in text form. It probably may even be better in text form or manga form than the anime form, so I'm eager to see where this adventure takes me. It's around 88 chapters, something like that, but I decided to drop it. And I'll tell you why. I think the anime, first of all, is done way better. Even though both versions are still kind of trashy in pretty much the same ways, the first example of why I think the anime is better is the ending arc of the anime is actually the beginning of the manga. Now, that you have to take read 4 or 5 chapters, you still get the same build up as you do in the original anime. But the ending is right smack dab in the beginning, pretty much, of the manga. And I don't like that. I like the way the first season ended. It ended in such a way where it left the door open for a sequel, of course, and it's not getting a sequel, because I've now found out through this manga that the anime was meant to promote the manga, promote sales of it, so which is fine, people can do what they want. I'm not harshing on that or anything. But Sankarea, for all intents and purposes, the anime, even though it almost, the intention of it was to get the sales to the manga, the anime is significantly better than the manga. Now, I've only read 14 chapters of the manga, give or take, some few, because I read these at night before I go to bed, because that's the best way to read these kinds of manga, in my opinion. It's kind of almost a horror, ecchi manga, so why not? They intended, hey, it's gonna put sales towards the manga, and I'm sure it did, but the anime is just way better. If you've seen the anime, stick to the anime. Maybe go read the ending of the manga if you want to know how the story concludes, or if you just want to read the manga. Like I said, the problem is in the manga is I just think it's boring, to be honest. And there may be a point in time where I go back and pick it up, but every problem that was in the anime for Sankarea was amplified for me personally in manga form. Yeah, And I just felt like it was going for a bunch of fan service, and there was no real substance beyond really anything. Everything was kind of rushed. Like I said, the ending of the anime is basically the beginning of the anime. That's kind of rushing it. I didn't feel like we really got to know Sankareya like we did in the anime. And I'm not saying like there was deep characterizations or I wanted to feel like I knew her on a personal level or any of the characters for that matter. But I felt way more connected to these characters in the anime than I felt in the manga in the first 10 chapters. I was like, okay, are they going to characterize Chihiro a little bit more than this? Are they going to give us a little bit more? But really, in the manga, it was just a bunch of hollow characters that were basically doing whatever the script told them to do, which is a big problem. So, I mean, that sucks, but that's the way it is. I'm not going to give this manga a score, but I'd say avoid this manga and just go for the anime. And if you want to know the ending, read the last bit of arc for the manga, I guess. It is what it is. I'm sure it will end the way people think it will end. So, at least that's what I'm getting. Sankareya anime, better than the manga. No score for this one. Next up, recommended to me, to us, to everyone, by Raya Sanka. He does a podcast with me, the ReZero Web Novel Podcast, Spoilers Cast, more like. You can go check that podcast out and read the web novel along with us. We cover 5 chapters every month, and we take Christmas off. So, say what you will on that. But we got like 3 or 4 episodes out right now, so go check them out. Circle Crash. So this one I actually wanted to do a full review for, the full thing, but I felt it was so formulaic in the sense that you couldn't really get a full-fledged review of it. And I haven't even finished the whole thing anyways, but I decided to cover it here because I don't think I'll ever do a review of this. So far, it seems like a fun romp. Nothing incredibly special about this, but there's nothing at all that turns me off from it. It will probably be forgettable in the grand scheme of everything else you've read or watched, but while you're reading this will be constantly on the mind. I'm thinking about all the time going back and reading another chapter of this, and I have to stop myself sometimes because it's easy to read, it's 4-comma style, super simple, and it's characters that are really easy to get into. I don't say they're the deepest characters or anything like that. It's a fun manga, and that's what you should treat this as. The characters are very fun. It's just a very self-aware, fun manga. And read this 1 chapter, maybe 2 at the most a day. This is the kind of way I'd consume this manga, and that's the way that I consume this manga. More than that, and it may be overloaded, because like I said, it's very formulaic. Not as formulaic as the next manga we'll be covering, but still, it has its certain niche that it sticks to, and that's because this, it won't be, excellent, super awesome, terrific, but at the same time, this is why it stands out from the rest. No score on this one. I will update you on the next episode or the episode after if I finish more of it. So check out the next episodes whenever those come out. I don't have a schedule for these, so we'll cover it on whenever the next episode is that I will be covering on. I promise. Next up is Skilled Teaser Takagi, or Skilled Teasing Master Takagi, or Karakai Jozu no Takagi-San. This is an anime that's currently airing right now in anime form, but I've read the manga before the anime came out, and I say I really enjoyed this manga for what it's worth. It's a shonen comedy, slice of life, and it sticks to this samey formula that it's just a teasing manga, pretty much, in a way. It's not, the teasing elements are prominent, and that's the point of every episode, is Takagi teases Nishikata and so forth, and Nishikata rarely gets the upper hand on Takagi. But while I think that's the most annoying part of this manga, I think because it's so samey and formulaic, This really helps the story and the characters overall really flourish and come under their own. And another thing that really helps this is the pacing. The manga is very easy. It's almost like an episodic slice of life rom-com type dealio you got going on with, and they're like all kids too, which is I like that change of direction. It's not adults in high school or the young adults in high school. It's little kids, and the stories they kind of tell with that are really good in my opinion. Moving a little bit on to the art here and then stuff like that and the backgrounds, I think they're delightful and tasteful. And at the same time, I still think they complement the style of the show pretty well and the character designs. You're not going to find something that's really out of place in this manga. Like I said, it's a shonen comedy, slice of life romance. So it's going to be a show, it's going to be a manga that has a certain style to it, and you should expect that certain style to remain consistent and not have it change dramatically from episode to episode or chapter to chapter or arc to arc, depending. There's not really arcs in this manga though. If you like teasing slice of life manga, this will probably be for you, but I'll say this, even if you're not, then I still think there is something you can find of worth here. The teasing elements, it's a formula, right? It's still meant for that audience who like that teasing kind of thing. But it's not overtly sexual. It's innocent. It's an innocent kind of story. Nothing really harsh is going on sexually. No one is sexualized in this manga, at least so far. Thank God. It's all stuff that more is kind of like a throwback to your younger days. It's almost kind of nostalgic the way it reads. And it sucks with the anime adaptation being a letdown because it's such a good manga. And this is another one you're going to have to read 1 or 2 a day, in my opinion. But the anime just didn't translate well. Going back to that for a moment. It just did not. The format of the chapters and the story itself did not fit into an anime form. It probably would have been a better anime if it was 12 to 13 minutes or so of anime rather than the 24 I think it got allotted. That's what it is though. In my opinion, I'd score this manga a 7 out of 10. It's a good manga. It's very good. Well, I wouldn't say very good. It's good. It's incredibly solid. But it's held back by its limitations. It's held back by the limitations of its premise. I'll say that. Like I said, that's just what it is. It's skilled teaser Takagi. If you don't, you know from the title that this is gonna have a glass ceiling. It's not gonna go pretty far, and that's kind of the expectations I went in with it. And it exceeded my expectations. Because before reading this, I'd read a couple teaser kind of manga, and I was very much let down. I don't really know much about the teaser genre, if that's even a thing, but I know they're super sexual and stuff like that, and they're kind of cheesy, and it is what it is. Next up is Vinland Saga, recommended to us by Bruno Hirschman, someone who's not Raya Sanka. I dropped this one. I did. I will admit it right now if you're watching this, Bruno. I dropped this one, but not because I hated it or anything like that. I found the pace and the mood wasn't to my liking, and I still wanted to give this a shout out though, and I still want to talk about it because it's still interesting. The reason I even checked out this thing to begin with, because I found it interesting. The way it looked, how it was presented, I liked that aspect about it. It's basically another type of really long, berserk-ish kind of massive story, and it's very good. It is very good, but it's painfully slow in some places. It's a little difficult to read if you're not in the mood for something like Berserk. So, when going into reading this, I suggest this. read it at your own pace. But at the same time, don't wait in between chapters. Try to maybe sit down and go, all right, I have these split up into arcs, right? I went to the website, the official website or a wiki, and these are the arcs. I'm going to read these arcs for this month. That's what I would do with Vinland Saga, because it's a saga. It's the Vinland Saga. So that's what I would do with that. And this is what I do with Berserk as well. I go in reading. I either have a set goal of chapters I want to read for the month or for a period, and then I take a break from it, and I don't read it for maybe a month, or a couple weeks, or 2 months, or 3 months, maybe even a year. It just depends on how you want to consume this. Don't overwhelm yourself and go, I'm going to read this all in a day. It's complicated. The dialogue is hefty. There's a lot of stuff you have to pay attention to that will play into the story later. I looked. It's one of those. Be careful with this one. Don't get burned because your expectations are too high. Do not go in expecting Berserk. That is the best thing to compare it to, but don't go in expecting anything like Berserk. Expect something that's very detailed in the way it's written, that is a fantasy series, that is medieval. That should level your expectations right there to where they should be. If not, if you're still super excited about this in the way that, well, what is he talking about? I'm going to read 800 chapters tonight. You're going to be disappointed. Pace yourself on this one. This is not a sprint. This one's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And it's good. I promise you, if you read these the way where you space it out, you will be rewarded. And Vinland Saga will reward you. I've read enough to know that it will, but I dropped it because, like I said, the pacing was not my style. A little bit too slow for me. And, time constraints, and I wasn't in really the mood to watch a lot of that or read a lot of that. You know what? Let's just call it TV shows. We're what? Anime grab bag, everybody. Next up, the last manga we'll be talking about from Raya Sanka, Outrage Girl Shiomi. I know he's about to get giddy over this, because I feel this is a show that he would love. A manga series he would love, and I know he does, because there's no way you can't love this series, in my opinion. This one's a funny, goofy one. I read about 3 chapters of it, though, before I put it on hold. And I put it on hold for good reasons. Kind of the same reasons I had with Vinland Saga. Mood, the pacing of it all, and one super huge flaw, which we'll get into the last part of this, so stick around. When I pick it back up, though, I will definitely update you guys in the future. It's such an interesting manga. It's basically about a mobster who gets a complete sex change and undergoes extensive plastic surgery to stay hidden from other mob families and stuff like that. Like, he is the head of a mob, and they're like, and basically the whole story starts, he just wakes up as a woman. He's like, what? And he even he's like, where did my penis go? His penis is gone. It's called Outrage Girl Shiomi. You have to I'm sorry, but that's the best title ever, and you can't not expect something like super Japanese. Some super wacky Japanese story. It's just a funny idea. And they even do the romance thing as well. Like, Shiomi meets this boy, and it starts off as like, this is like some really weird mentor, like father figure kind of thing. And then the boy's like, oh, I like this girl. She's cute. Because his new face is modeled after a famous idol in their world. And I think it's actually after an actual idol. The chapter's up. Hopefully, you'll see what the name is. You guys can do some research on that. And she's like incredibly beautiful. Well, I guess you can still say she. Biologically, she's still a man, but But it starts off as like this friendship between this, like, it's just funny. It's just a romance, and it makes no damn sense, and it's hilarious. I mean, I like the characters for how goofy they are. It was fun. It was a fun read for what I read. But here is the main problem. The dialogue, there was a lot to read, and it may just be the fan translation that I had, because I don't think you can find this anywhere else. I don't think you can buy this in English. Quote me if I'm wrong. If you can, put a link down below for the people to check out, because, some people may want to buy this. Yeah, the dialogue was a lot to read, and it was a funny series, but I was not in the business of reading paragraphs for each of the word bubbles, and I'm totally blowing this out of proportions, but at 12 in the morning, or 12 a.m., not 12 in the morning, but at 12 a.m., you don't want to read that much, so I put it on hold for now, definitely. I'll try to update you on the goings with this series in the future when I have a little bit more time to read more. Because right now I'm reading a lot. I'm reading Fairy Tail Zero, which is another recommendation by I can't remember who. There's another one. There's a lot more. I'm reading Battle Royale, Fudge, Itoshi no Karen, and something else. Oh yeah, Circle Crash. So that's what I'm pretty much reading right now. That's my thing. So if you have any recommendations for manga, I wouldn't say manga grab bag, but my manga reviews in general, some of them may show up on Manga Grab Bag if I decide to drop them, or if I feel like I should still cover them. Yeah, we don't have a lot of manga on the list. So if you have any manga to recommend, I urge you, put down in the comments below. Just throw something out there. Beware, I'm not going to review the big three. I'm not going to do Naruto, Dragon Ball, Bleach, and I know we're getting more at 3 at this point. Fairy Tail, I may do Fairy Tail actually. After reading Fairy Tail Zero, of what I've read, I'm really interested in getting into that. Although I am considered a kind of fan of Fairy Tail. I have Season 1 on my Xbox, but I haven't been able to watch it because of other things I have to do. And I take no recommendations from anime or manga from the big 3 shonen. I don't do it. Because why? It's too long, and then there's people that do it better than me. And plus, what can I say on that? I don't know. Discussion videos, sure. Reviews, nuh-uh. So, that's it for Manga Grab Bag number 3. If there are some manga you want to recommend, make sure to recommend them to me. If not, then, make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. Is there anime, or the hell, is there manga that you will check out that I covered in this episode of the Manga Grab Bag? I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. My name is the SeaTactics, signing out.